Blog Talk Radio.
Across the country and around the world, streaming live on the internet, it's Real Estate Coaching Radio, bringing you the latest news, interviews, and secrets of the top producers. Hosted by award-winning real estate coaches, Tim and Julie Harris.
Hello and welcome back, and we are broadcasting live from lovely Austin, Texas. It's, of course, Tim and Julie Harris, and this is Real Estate Coaching Radio. Now, we have been talking a lot lately about this trend that has emerged, and I think in force really in the past 3 or 4 years, about buying buyer leads. And Julie and I think, have been the only voice in the storm that's saying, wake up agents, wake up industry, realize the fact that buying buyer leads really is kind of nutty, especially if you know how to be a listing agent. So on today's call, Julie and I are going to be focusing specifically on how do I become a listing agent. And then this is just really an overview, but I think really what we're hoping to do from today's radio show is demystify the idea that it's difficult. Demystify the idea that everyone can't be a listing agent, because you can, and really, hopefully, at least for some of you, those of you who are ready to listen and learn and take action, we really are hoping we put an end to this really pathetic trend of buying buyer leads. You know, if you guys want to, if this is the first radio show you've listened into, real estate coaching radio show you've listened into, hey, go back and listen to our previous radio shows, because we talk a lot about what's happening right now in the marketplace with realtors not knowing how to generate their own leads, becoming dependent on these third-party companies to create and sell them leads, and how we know, not think, we know it's a trend that won't last. And if the agents that learn how to list, well, guess what? They're going to be the ones that really are going to dominate the real estate markets going forward. So before we get to today's topic, and I think it's a topic that really is probably going to be one of the most purposeful, meaningful content provided radio shows we've provided so far, before we get to it, I want to, of course, ask Julie, because I know she's been on the phones all day with her coaching clients. Julie, share with us a story from one of your realtor coaching clients, something that you know will benefit our listeners today, something that is happening positively or negatively, some way you've been able to help them move their business down the field.
Well, I was anticipating that question as I was on one of my calls today with Rob in Colorado Springs, and Rob and I are working on his pre-listing pack specifically. And, you know, it's interesting when agents start to do this, how many shortcuts they try to find just for the sake of getting it done. And though I appreciate the fact that they want to get it done and over with, there is an art to it. And our discussion led to a quick little discussion about the fact that Rob was believing that most agents in his marketplace don't use a pre-listing pack. So why do we have to be so careful and specific and perfect his pre-listing pack?
Okay, hold on. What's a pre-listing pack? Yes, exactly.
Good point.
We shan't assume, right? So what is a pre-listing pack?
Well, so a pre-listing pack is a package of specific, well-honed information about you and your company that you send ahead of time prior to a listing appointment. And the whole point is to eliminate objections and create a scenario where your appointment is shorter, the seller feels like they know you already, and they become very closable on one stop.
Really, all the fearful, all the questions that all of us agents live in fear of hearing when you're on a listing appointment, because it's just, if for no reason, it's just awkward. You know, how are you different? Why should I list with you? What makes you different? What's your track record in my marketplace? Will you take a reduced commission? You know, how are you going to communicate with me when the house is listed? What if I'm not happy? Can I fire you? What if I bring my own buyer? I mean, all those sort of, it's a lot.
Well, no wonder appointments take forever.
Well, no wonder so many agents go and live in fear of having to go on an appointment, because the sellers obviously are being educated, and, they're going to ask you those tough questions, and unless you know how to overcome their objections, because that's really all they are, then you're not going to get the listing. But what Julie said is critical, and the whole point of having a good pre-listing pack is to make it so that the questions are already answered before you get there. So your pre-listing pack, again, is designed to make it so that when you go on the listing appointment, you're essentially answering any final questions, getting the contract signed, and going on your merry way. If a listing appointment is not there, you're not going there to sell anything. If that's your mindset, if that's your approach, then chances are you're not going to be very successful, because that is not the way the business is done nowadays.
Well, that way you end up going there to close and move the ball forward versus to sell and end up getting all the objections at the end. Curious thing happens when agents do it that way is that your seller prospects don't actually listen to anything you're saying because they're saving up their objections for the end of your presentation, assuming that you're doing a presentation. That's a whole other can of worms. But then, let's make that assumption.
Right.
And then you sign yourself up to get all the objections at the end. So now you're in contention with that seller, and you actually make them unclosable, which is why they say, I need to talk to other agents before I make my decision.
Well, but the reality
is the
pre-listing
pack cures that for the most part.
The reality of it is that most agents, they never have to compete for a listing because they don't list any houses, and if they do list anything,
right,
it's from a friend or a family member, and that's basically how they think business operates, how real estate operates, and it doesn't, not at a high volume. If you
no,
expect
you
to
can
make
do a handful of deals doing it that way, but you're
might
not
get
going to make a living.
Yeah, you might get lucky, and your aunt might call you to list her house, but, how many aunts do you have that have houses that are going to need to be sold, in the next 12 months? If you have 100, well, then you're in good luck. You're in good fortune, but chances are you don't. So the bottom line.
Yeah. Well, so Rob's point was exactly like you're talking about. Most of his deals have been referrals, just like some of the other agents we've talked about in previous shows. It's funny, until you have a pre-listing pack that rocks and a listing presentation that rocks, probably you're not going to go that hard after stuff that you might possibly have to compete on. So it's funny. It's kind of like, the chicken or the egg scenario, right? So the funny thing happens when you do have those things together, all of a sudden you become a better lead follower-upper, a better networker, a better prospector, because you have confidence that you can handle whatever happens in that actual presentation, in that appointment. So Rob's thing was, well, I don't really know if, agents in my market, and I don't really know anybody that uses that. So I gave him a real quick story. I don't know if you remember this or not, but back when we were selling in New Albany, I had kind of a busy day. I had a couple of closings, and I had an appointment set to list a little townhome, one of those like Dominion deals over in New Albany. And I had thought, well, it's not a big deal. It's not really a luxury type scenario, probably not competing. I should be okay. Maybe I can be lazy and not send our pre-listing pack. And then something told me, well, that's kind of stupid. What if I am competing? I ought to send it. So I got it over there, showed up, and as we always ask at the beginning of a presentation, I had asked the homeowner, which was a single guy just selling his townhome to move up, and I said, tell me again, when we last spoke, you were speaking with a couple of other agents. How did that go? His answer, remember, this is just a plain Jane cookie-cutter, non-luxury, seemingly non-competitive deal. He said, oh, no, based on what they sent me, I canceled their appointments. Okay, now my thought was, thank God I sent ours, because had I not sent anything, I would have gotten canceled. And neither one of these agents that I was actually competing with had I ever heard of before. To Rob's point in Colorado Springs, the reason I told him that story was, just because you don't think other agents are using pre-listing packs doesn't mean that they're not. Don't make up stories. Don't make up assumptions. So then, back to my little mini story, I had asked that homeowner, I said, if you don't mind, could I take a quick look at what they sent you? I'm just curious. And what they had sent was kind of company-generated folders full of company junk that just wasn't very well organized, a couple maps of the city, just weird stuff, and a CMA. And he said that he thought it looked disorganized and wasn't impressed. So he just canceled their appointments. They weren't even at bat. But the point is, had I been lazy and not just, two levels to this, have one in the first place, and number two, make sure it rocks, because you have competition when you don't even think you do.
Well, exactly, and that really is the critical thing. You guys got to think how many opportunities, how many little, I think what Howard Brenton used to call it, Julie, moments of truth do we have when we're coming in contact with prospective clients, right? A moment of truth, as Howard used to explain it, was essentially like your sign is a moment of truth. When they call you, that's a moment of truth. When they see your pre-listing pack, that's a moment of truth. When you show up, how you look is a moment of truth.
Do you show up on time?
All those little, all those little, there's little, because there is no store, there is no restaurant that we own that people frequent. There is no they're not buying a product or service from us. The way they interact with us are these little moments of truth versus, again, if you had like a retail store, it'd be how does your storefront look, how does your merchandise look, how does your how do you guys treat customers when they walk into your store? Well, because you're providing a service that generally takes place in the customer's house, then, your moments of truth are not, they're all separate. So, the store has one location, you see the storefront, it looks nice, I walk in, I have a nice experience, I buy a nice product, I get a nice bag, I leave. Whereas in real estate, we have many, many moments of truth, and another way to think about it is we have many, many opportunities to muddy the waters and make the seller not want to do business with us. How long does it take for you to return a phone call? What does your real estate sign look like? What does your pre-listing pack look like? What does everything look like? And really, at the end of the day, there's probably about 20 very distinct moments of truth that you have to be really attentive to. But as far as a listing goes, the PLP, it really is the critical thing. Now, those of you who are in Real Estate Coaching Essentials and any of our other coaching programs, the Advanced Coaching Program or certainly the Breakthrough Coaching Program where you have your own private one-on-one coach, you better be using the pre-listing pack exactly like we give it. That's the one thing that we are inflexible about. The scripts, we want you to internalize and then personalize. But the pre-listing pack, we want you to copy and just use it exactly how we tell you to present it. Don't change it. Don't deviate it. It's interesting, Julie, when I've done role plays with agents who have used the pre-listing pack but not listened to the Real Estate Coaching Essentials videos that we've done on how to present it, i.e. the scripts and whatnot, they basically, the page, the pre-listing pack, has no fire. It has no meat. It has no purpose other than, okay, well, here's my communications guarantee, because they don't know how to sell the importance of having a communications guarantee to the seller. So when they get to the easy exit listing and the PLP, they don't know how to explain it's okay, well, here's my easy exit listing. And to a seller, it's just another piece of BS from an agent unless you explain to the seller and use the script. Mr. Seller, let me ask you, does it make sense that you're going to obligate yourself to sign a contract for probably 6 months with some real estate broker that literally, if they'll come in here, they do a great job, they talk you into signing a listing contract, they could move to Tahiti the next day, and you're still obligated to pay them a commission if the house were to sell during the term of the listing contract. So in other words, Mr. Seller, their job is to get you to sign the contract, and beyond that, they are legally obligated to do virtually nothing. If it sells, it sells, and if it doesn't, it doesn't. So you don't have any real control as soon as you sign a listing contract with any other broker other than me, because the way it works with me, Mr. Seller, is that you are in control every single day. I'm not just trying to impress upon you the importance of hiring me now to sell your house. I've got to impress upon you every single day the importance of why you keep me hired for the job of selling your house. Mr. Seller, you're always in control because of the easy exit listing guarantee. So the way it works is quite simple. If for any reason you're not 100% satisfied in the job that I'm doing to sell your home, you can fire me. Now, I'm confident, Mr. Seller, that I'm the only one in town that's going to offer such a bold guarantee that keeps you in control, and it gives, basically, Mr. Seller, what more proof can I have other than that I will be consistently and constantly aware of getting the job done, fulfilling my promise to you, right? You say something like that, whereas your competitors are saying, well, this is my listing contract, it's for 180 days. Who's going to get the listing? So it's not just enough to present the page or show them the page in the pre-listing pack or a listing presentation. You have to use the scripts behind it. You have to explain to the seller why that USP, that unique selling proposition from Rosser Reeves, that's where that term comes from, unique selling proposition is something he created, that phrase. So all these little unique selling propositions in your pre-listing pack, the easy exit listing, the communications guarantee, the flexible fee, and all the other things that we give you that answer the question, what makes you different, which answers the question, why should I list with you? You have to not just present the information, but you have to be prepared to present the scripts, the meaning, and giving those pages, those USPs, give them actual value in the eyes of the seller. So remember that. And this goes back to essentially, learning the pre-listing pack, learning the listing presentation, and learning it cold, memorizing it, and knowing how to present each page. And it's that simple. And then when you do, you will win 9 times out of 10. You might occasionally lose a listing that you go on, but 9 times out of 10 you know you're going to get it, because your competitors will not come close to you in your approach and your intensity and, frankly, your professionalism. That does matter. So that's really how you can have an almost unfair advantage in your marketplace. So when we come back, Julie and I are going to pick up where we left off. We're going to talk about how I become a listing agent, and we're going to take a real short commercial break. And when we come back, we are going to talk about just that.
Is coaching right for you? And how can I guarantee it will work for me? Chances are you are asking yourself those questions right now. I'll answer those critical questions for you in just a moment. But first, let's be honest about something you may have always suspected. You've probably always known that the nation's top 1% of realtors, those millionaire agents you see on TV, they possess a secret knowledge that the other 99% of agents do not have. Where did they learn what they know? And more importantly, how did they learn how to put this closely guarded information into money-making action? It's simple. They have a coach. Not just any coach. The nation's mega millions, top 1% of the realtors know that in order to maintain their almost unfair advantage, that they must have their own personal coach, a proven, market-tested coach who has truly walked in their shoes, a coach who has worked with many of the nation's leading agents. At this point, you're probably ready to maybe try coaching. However, you don't want to be unfairly locked into a long-term ball and chain that coaching contracts can give you. It just makes sense that you should be able to try it before you buy it. Even more importantly, you want to have a coach who is the best of the best, not someone who is simply assigned to you or, even worse, has never sold real estate. Can you imagine? If this is you, I have something for you right now that is exactly what you have been looking for. For the next 48 hours, Tim and Julie Harris Real Estate Coaching is offering you a free coaching call. This is a real coaching call with a real Tim and Julie Harris coach. Now, while you were thinking about it, why don't you visit us online at freecoachingcallsforagents.com to get started. Once again, that is freecoachingcallsforagents.com. Now, let's be clear. This exclusive coaching opportunity is only available for the first 50 realtors who are stone cold serious about their real estate business and know that in order to succeed at the highest level, they must hire a coach. So don't wait any longer. Take action now and visit us again at freecoachingcallsforagents.com to schedule your free coaching call. Again, that's freecoachingcallsforagents.com. Thanks so much. See y'all soon.
Okay, we are back. So remember, freecoachingcallsforagents.com. And Julie, I've been having a lot of fun with the free coaching calls that I've been doing over the past couple of weeks. I don't know about you, but,
Absolutely.
I love talking to agents, honestly. I love talking to you guys. Anyone who's going to take their real estate business or really any business seriously, I want to spend time with you. We're cut from the same cloth. Anybody who's an entrepreneur, even if you're not even selling real estate, someone asked me once, what hobbies do you have? And I thought about it, and I thought, you know what, I really don't have any hobbies because I love doing what I do. And I know Julie does too. It's so much fun when you're on the phone with somebody and you can feel the slightest movement. In other words, when you can help somebody even in the slightest way to enlighten them, to help them have a tiny, tiny little epiphany that will be so impactful on themselves and on their businesses. So, it's funny. Sometimes we get some of you guys on the phone. You guys are real jerks. Sometimes, you're hard to deal with.
Those are short calls.
You come to the coaching calls, some of you, and you're just like all full of yourself, and it's like, oh my God, I'm not going to, I'm going to be stuck with this person on the phone. And and this is important for you guys to remember too when you're dealing with difficult customers, is the way I personally basically keep my head in the game and focused on what matters, which is actually helping the person regardless of how gruffy their exterior is I remember that I'm not just helping that particular person, but I'm helping their family, but I'm also helping all the families of all the people that they're going to be able to hopefully help at a higher level in their real estate transactions. So it's like, in my mind, it's like dropping a pebble in a pond, and all the ripples that come off that pebble, those really are the potential positive ramifications of us doing our job at the highest level. on this radio show. I promise you that's what Julie and I are thinking about on our coaching calls, on all of our coaches' coaching calls, any way we ever interact with you. That's our thought. We're thinking about that. You should adopt or consider adopting something similar to that in your own practice, because it will make those hard days and those jerky customers, which all of us are going to have to deal with from time to time, no matter what kind of business you're in, by the way, it'll make it so that you can essentially keep yourself level-headed, keep your head in the game, and keep you focused on what matters most, which is being of service to others. So, Julie, without any further delay, let's get back to our favorite topic, which is teaching agents how to be listing agents and getting them out of the cage of buying buyer leads, the imprisonment that so many of these people have chosen for themselves, thinking that they have no choice but to buy buyer leads, which is just absolutely the wrong approach to real estate or any business if your goal is to really have a substantial business that's going to last a lifetime, a career, more than just 24 months, which is unfortunately what's happening. Is so many agents are burning out of the business so fast because they never learn the required skills and how to become listing agents. Buyer leads, guys, are easy to get once you know how to list houses. So these are some points that Julie and I wrote down on really the steps that you need to take now to becoming a listing agent. A lot of these are mindset points because that's really where it starts, you accepting the fact that you can become a listing agent. And if you are a listing agent now, if you've listed a few houses, how you can have your business primarily built around listing homes, which is what we want for all of you. So, Jules, what's the first point you wrote down?
Okay, great. So the first point, and I think this is the most important because without leads, none of the rest of it really matters. I think a lot of agents like to work on creating the perfect this and that before they have anything to apply it to. We believe in earn while you learn. Otherwise, you're not going to last. So point number one, identify and implement a minimum of 5 effective lead generation systems specifically for listing leads. Now, these don't have to be the same 5 for everybody. Some of you guys like working with builders. Some of you like working with relocations. Some of you love, first-time sellers and first-time buyers. But we're talking about 5 effective lead generation systems. Now, notice that I said effective and systems. I did not say dabbling, trying out, or taking a shot at.
Yes, and this is the time of year. We're going into the spring. I do, and I've said this, and Julie said this, and it is absolutely 100% going to happen. There is going to be a very significant upturn in real estate sales. I firmly believe that all the negative news that was coming out over the last 2 weeks is just temporary, and it is weather-related. A lot of people are trying to write it off as being something more significant. You know what? I don't think so. From all of our hundreds of coaching clients around the country, and we actually have well over 1,000, there's no doubt that the real estate market's going to come back with vengeance. And there's no doubt that it's been slow because of a lot of nasty weather throughout the country. But as soon as the weather breaks, you guys are going to be so busy having opportunities to help so many people make so much money. But remember, all the selling buyer lead companies, they're going to come and knocking. Buy this silver bullet, buy that silver bullet. You need to learn to say no because you've learned how to generate your own business. And Julie, what are those 5 points again?
Okay, so again, identify and implement 5 effective lead generation systems for listing leads. Suggested obvious ones would be past clients, networking both online and off, learning to be great at expireds, utilizing the referral sites that only charge you 25% referral fees and not a monthly fee or a monthly bill. So that all has to do with generating the lead in the first place. That's all point number 1. Once you have implemented those things and you have those leads coming in, number 2 becomes critical. Perfect your urgent, relentless lead follow-up. Stop waiting to follow up on leads and making stories about whether, I emailed them back because they emailed me. Become really great, the best at urgent, relentless lead follow-up using the proven scripts that we give you.
Just that one point is really the secret sauce to so many agents' long-term success. Following up, and again, this goes back to any business owner, but it is so critical that you follow up immediately. And again, Julie was pointing out the fact that a lot of you are believing that if somebody emails you, that means that somehow they only want to be emailed back, or if someone SMSs you, they only want to be texted back, or someone da-da-da-da. No. Every single person who communicates you in every single way has to have a return phone call. has to have a return phone call. If you get an anonymous email from some buyer asking about some property, ask for their phone number so you can call them back. Don't just wait around and hoping and praying that they're going to email you back. Email is way too passive, and if they're serious, buyers or sellers, they're going to want to talk with you on the phone. So be very, very clear about that. And when Julie says immediate, what's immediate mean to you? Okay, now erase what immediate means to you and replace with this. Immediate means within 60 seconds or less. That's right. Immediate. So if immediate to you is now or the same day.
They barely hung up the phone or hit send if they emailed you. Barely.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Okay. That's immediate. Immediate, and that's we could go on for hours on that particular point, but it's something to perfect. Okay?
That's right.
Point number 3, be able to answer the question, what makes you different? Using unique sales propositions or USPs, what makes you different? Now, I've talked about this a lot on previous calls. Most agents, and this is always a fun coaching call, when I always do it out of the blue as a test, I'll ask them, what makes you different? And sometimes they get absolute silence. They're like totally stymied, and it's the question they fear the most. Sometimes I get kind of a BS tap dancing answer. Well, I'll get it sold for you. Well, okay, who doesn't say that, right? I'll give you online internet exposure. Who doesn't say that? It's all a bunch of stuff that everybody says the same thing, and this is exactly why sellers try to even the score by listing with whoever cuts their commission.
Well, Julie, as I listen to you read these points, I have to tell you where my mind is going. And this is, again, one of those little areas that you got to be careful when you talk about it, or at least I have to be careful when I talk about it. But the reason that most agents are taught to be so mediocre is because really our industry doesn't want competition amongst agents. It doesn't.
Right.
Our industry is really, really closed-minded for the most part about anybody who's trying to be exceptional in any way. It's true. Mm-hmm. And, the fact is that the reason that so many brokers teach their agents to do the same mediocre job following up and listing presentations and whatnot is because, A, they don't know any better themselves, and B, because they don't want to upset the apple cart and make the other agents upset that somebody's kicking their butts. That's the reality of it. The real way, you got to be thinking, erase that type of thinking. You're in the business to serve customers, homeowners, buyers of homes, commercial properties and whatnot. What do they want? What's best for them? Don't think in terms of what's best for you. Don't think in terms of what's best for your brokerage or even what's best for your agents. Honestly, your customer as a broker, as a franchise owner, as a CEO of some internationally traded NRT or whatnot is serving the customer. And if the customer is telling you they want a certain service or a level of service out of the agent that they hire, you got to make sure that information is disseminated through the ranks. You got to make sure everyone gets their game on. And if you don't, your competition, who doesn't follow the same nicey rules, will kick your butt. And you know what? The competition, guys, isn't just going to come from the broker across the street or the agent that you go on tour with every Wednesday afternoon. The competition is going to come from foreign countries. The competition is going to come from, what is that, Julie? I told you about Movado or whatever it was.
Yep.
That company was just bought by a Japanese company, and the Japanese company Movado is associating themselves with a broker, and you guys can research this on your own, and they're going to be getting into the business of generating leads and then selling leads for a referral fee. A lot of you guys are paying monthly subscription rates for a bunch of miscellaneous leads. Well, Movado is going to be associating themselves with a broker, from what I understand, or their own brokerage, and they're going to be then generating leads and referring those leads off to agents. Now, you know what? I don't have a problem with that, because if the lead is a qualified, honest-to-God lead and you're not paying any more than, say, 25%, mathematically that might make sense for you versus just paying for a bunch of miscellaneous garbage leads. That's, again, a student-by-student, case-by-case basis to find out if the math makes sense. But the moral of the story here, guys, is in order for you to become a listing agent, in order for you to become really, really good at your job, you have to be urgent and you have to be relentless. So, Julie, and then the other point you made about what makes you different, again, guys, use your PLP, learn the points, learn the scripts. What's the next point, Jules?
All right, so the next point is create the perfect pre-listing pack. So embrace that you have to have one and have the best one in your marketplace. That's what we teach you to do. You and I joke all the time, this is not Tim and Julie's halfway house for wayward realtors. We raise superstars. We don't teach you how to do anything mediocre. have the best.
That's it, right? Okay. Oh, you know what? We're running low on time. No problem.
We are.
So, Julie, let's go through the rest of these. Create a PLP, as you just said. Create and get a really great listing presentation. Again, our coaching students use their listing presentation that we provide for you. And please, please, please internalize the scripts. Make them your own, but definitely internalize them. And, Julie, what are the other points you wrote down?
All right, quickly is number 6, become a better closer. So don't just walk away going, I'll follow up, good luck, I'll talk to you later. Actually close and get the contract signed. We teach you how to do that. Number 7, know how to follow up religiously with your existing listings every single week until and after they actually close. So don't just take the listing, continue the relationship. That's another big black hole for agents. And point number 8, lather, rinse, repeat.
Now, again, if you guys need any help, what are you supposed to do? What are you going to do now? If you're an existing coaching student of ours, you ask your coach for help, or you go to freecoachingcallsforagents.com, freecoachingcallsforagents.com. Existing coaching students, you get a priority over those who have yet to become students. And the secondary group that I want requesting a free coaching call are those of you who are ready to become a coaching student, or at least have your minds open to the idea that you can expand your business through really powerful coaching. Again, freecoachingcallsforagents.com. It's very simple, very brilliant, if I might say so myself, system where you just show up, you basically pick the coach you want to have a call with, you schedule it, and then you're off to the races. So that is your homework assignment from today's call. Go to freecoachingcallsforagents.com, freecoachingcallsforagents.com. Thank you for listening. Please continue to do a great job of helping us spread the word and letting other agents know about Real Estate Coaching Radio, and we will speak with you tomorrow.
This program has been a presentation by Tim and Julie Harris, Real Estate Coaching. For more information on our real estate coaching and training programs, visit our website at timandjulieharris.com. Remember to tune in weekdays at noon for upcoming shows, and until next time, thank you for listening to Real Estate Coaching Radio with Tim and Julie Harris.